last week we talked about exploring a pathway. This week we're going to talk about choosing a pathway, what that looks like, what that means. And today we're going to begin with the important part, which is what are the challenges around choosing a pathway? Now, while we play that really spiffy introduction, think about what some of the challenges are to you choosing a pathway, and let's compare notes. All that and more on today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's a Monday. It's a new week. I'm excited.
Good to hear. Better than any other option, I guess, right?
It's all up here, right?
Yeah, I think so. And hopefully everyone else is feeling the way. Good morning and welcome to today's Antidote. Whether you are watching this live or catching our broadcast, this is our daily show where we have a conversation around a topic each week. And as Bob mentioned, our topic this week is choosing a pathway, and we'll talk today about the challenges that we face. And as we go through that conversation, we hope that if you have thoughts or ideas, we'd welcome you to share them, whether you happen to be watching us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or
LinkedIn Live, baby.
LinkedIn Live, yes.
No, not LinkedIn Live. LinkedIn Live, baby.
This is our own new form. So if you go to LinkedIn and you're looking for LinkedIn Live, baby, it's the smaller version of LinkedIn Live. Just say. And at the conclusion of our conversation,
that was funny.
thanks. Glad that I could throw a pun in there at the start of the day that wasn't a dad joke. That was actually maybe sort of funny. As we conclude our conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope that if you're finding yourself stuck today, or maybe some other day around this topic, that it will help you take your next step along your own unique pathway to success. And of course, if you have a one thing that you'd like to share, we would love for you to share that as well, because we know that anytime we put value out there, we have the opportunity to help someone else figure out a step. And before we dive into our conversation, though, each morning we start with our celebrations. Bob, what are you celebrating today?
Hey, I'm celebrating a day-long retreat I did on Saturday that was online, and it was really powerful. I wasn't expecting, I actually forgot that I signed up for it, and I got a text at 9:05 saying, "Where are you?" And I joined late, and I got more out of it than if I had thought about it, which was really great. So thank you to the folks, to Victoria Whitfield and the other ladies. It was all women and me. And it was really a great day of sharing and caring about each other. How about you? What are you celebrating?
I am celebrating that, one of the things I chose a pathway to learn a little bit more about LinkedIn. And so a group of us got together and hired someone to help us with that. And we have our second session coming up this afternoon to learn a little bit more about how to leverage LinkedIn in maybe a different way. So that's what I'm celebrating today.
Nice.
Yes.
I like that. LinkedIn Live.
Baby.
But you're just learning about LinkedIn.
Correct. Actually, I think maybe we'll learn a little bit about
no live,
LinkedIn.
No baby.
Correct. Maybe. We'll see. We'll find out in a couple hours.
Okay.
So all last week, we talked about exploring options, exploring pathways. And, it's great. You get to check out, or what are all the things that, and usually when we do this, we many times spend a lot of time thinking about the possibilities, which can make it a really enjoyable process. And then we have to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
don't make me.
That's usually where the challenges lie. So, Bob, do you want to start our conversation off today about choosing a pathway and the challenges?
Sure. The biggest challenge is, what if I get it wrong? no, this would be horrible. I spent all this time and money and effort and I made the wrong choice. And now my whole life is going downhill and everything's wrong. What was I thinking? That would be one challenge. Another challenge would be people's feedback after you make a choice. You know, you choose and you tell someone and they go, really? That's what you're going to do? I experienced that last week. I was expecting a couple of people to say a certain thing to me after I told them I was doing a certain thing. And I got a little of that feedback, but not as much as I expected. One of the other people was like, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's great. Go for it. And I think we have a lot of this in our heads. It's much more theoretical than real. Because the fact of the matter is, I don't know if people care that much about what we do when we choose our pathway, because it is my pathway. It is your pathway. And you should know your situation better than anyone, having lived it your whole entire life. I've only been a small part of your life. And when I think of the challenges, that's one of the things that, you know, we collect advice from people about choosing a pathway as we're exploring it. And like, well, what would you do if you're in my situation? Would you do this, do this? And the person can only bring their perspective, their experience, their knowledge to the table. They don't know what's going on in your head. They don't know that 16 years ago, you had a similar experience and it went really well for you because you have some X factor that they can't imagine. And so I think the biggest challenges are really up between our ears in trying to choose a pathway. What do you think?
Yes, I agree. And I also think that it's one of those things, you know, you mentioned what other people think. And I think that that so often plays a significant role because I think we are concerned about how others look at us. That's part of it. Goes back to your comment about ego. And I think others also want to share thoughts and ideas. They feel like, why not? I should add my 2 cents. One could be because I really care about this person. Two could be like I've had an experience with that and I'm not, you know, do I want to warn them about possibilities that they might also face? You know, and I think three is it's just sometimes it's just they want to just get their 2 cents in because they believe they are quote unquote right or have the right information. And so I think that that's it's natural that we receive that. And I think that so often that's one of the expectations that we often consider is that makes it hard to choose is what are others going to think and what are others going to feel? And I think one of the things that we've tried to talk a lot about is that's the whole renegade way is choosing your own unique pathway and not allowing someone else's thoughts, ideas, knowledge, experience, perspective to impact what we do.
Well, it can impact, but not control, right?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, you could say to me, hey, Bob, don't wear a black shirt. It just isn't really flattering on you. I go, okay, thanks for that, Tom. And I might not wear a black shirt,
Sure.
but the choice is mine.
Correct.
Right. And that's a good thing that someone shares that. We're not saying that you should just put blinders on and be totally focused on everything that you do with no deviation at all. Feedback is really valuable.
Absolutely. Yet I think it's one of those things that sometimes slows us down. Either the feedback we get or the feedback that we are expecting.
Perceiving we'll get.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a big piece of it. You know, and of course, there's always all the challenges on your own side is, you know, if I do this, am I going to miss out with something else over there? You know, all goes back, I think, to a little bit about being wrong, worried about being quote unquote wrong. As you know, I have a hard time using that word. And I also think that it's sort of the what is the future going to look like, you know, and how are things going to change? So even if we feel like it's still, you know, you talk about it sometimes as well as the fear of success. Geez, what if this really does work the way I think it is going to? Am I ready for whatever comes next, or how will I change, or what will that impact of that? Because every action we take creates an opportunity to learn and then have an impact. And I think, you know, the further we get down the pathway thinking about it, the possibilities, in some ways, the greater the option might be, or the pathway might seem, or the more fear we have about what's coming up around it.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. If you head down a pathway on a trail, you have no idea what's coming. Is it going to be a bridge? Is it going to be water? Is it going to be a cliff? Is it going to be a dead end? And we all run that risk every time you go down a pathway. Now, if you've been down that pathway before, you know what to expect. If you looked at the map before you went, you have a good idea. But we often are busy in our heads thinking of all the monsters that could be out on that trail, not the great things that could happen. I know for me, I'm usually not spending as much time with, boy, if this worked well, this would be great. It did. And stair stepping, oh, this takes me here, here, here. Usually it's more like, if this goes wrong at the 18th step, I've wasted 18 steps. What if by the 32nd step, I forget how to turn back? And I think that's one of the big challenges, is that we start to think of the negatives more than the positives. And we start to worry about things. And then we get overwhelmed, and then we get stuck. Whereas I've noticed the people in my life who seem to be able to go down the path with less friction, less getting stuck, less overwhelm, tend to just go. They'll look at the map. If they're on the trail, they'll look at the map really quickly, and then they'll just go and be like, I'll figure it out. If the trail runs out, I'm just gonna have to turn.
Well, and I think you brought up something else that I thought was that's triggered something for me around taking the path because we've taken it before.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think that we look at all these options and we consider like, if I go down this path, I'm not really sure because I've never done it before. So maybe I'll just go back to a path that I've chosen in the past and think that, well, I know what that path looks like, so I can go down that path. And while you may have a good sense of what it looks like, it has likely changed. You've changed. The path may have changed since the last time you went down it. Who knows? There might have been a storm 2 weeks ago. Let's say you're choosing a path in the woods. There might have been a storm and there are now 3, 6, 8, 10 trees knocked down that no longer allow you to get through. And what you thought was going to be a short path, you have to now take a detour that takes it significantly longer than you might have considered. And I think, that's one of the challenges I think there is in finding a new path, taking a new path, is that we don't think we know what's ahead, or we know we don't know what's ahead. The other path, the old path, might be the one that we know what's coming. And so it's a simpler choice, and there seem to be less challenges around it.
Safer choice, right? I know if I go this way, I get there. I know because I've done it 10 times.
Correct.
What we don't know is the time you go around a different way. Like I have my GPS on my phone when I'm driving sometimes, and I've been in a new area for the last couple months, and I thought I knew my way around. But the other day I was just like, well, let me put in where I'm going. And it gave me this new route that was out of traffic, pristine, gorgeous, saw things I'd never seen before. And it's like, wow, this is a really neat pathway to go. I would have never known because I'm so used to go this way, then this way, then this way. And so breaking that routine, and oddly enough, it was a GPS that was telling me to break the routine because there was an accident in my normal pathway.
Mm-hmm.
So had I gone the way I normally had gone, I would have had a 10-minute delay.
Sure.
So it showed me an alternative route that I actually prefer now. That's the route I take. And I couldn't have known it. Because I wasn't allowing myself to even consider alternative pathways. Like, what if I turn right here? This road must go somewhere. And I was just laser focused on going the way I've always gone because I'm busy. I know it gets me where I'm going to go. It's safe. It's well, I can do it in my sleep. And sure. I think that's what we do in our business lives and in our personal lives too. We use the same well-worn path because it's safe and because we know it's going to get us where we're going. And we often don't look at the alternatives, which can, this opened my eyes to taking alternative routes to a lot of places. And turns out as I was going down this route, I found a business I never knew existed that I was kind of looking for and I didn't know. So it can be really powerful. And if that's just me going down a different route to get to a store, Imagine what that could look like in business. Apply it more broadly.
Certainly. So, Bob, do you have your one thing?
I think I do. I think that the challenges are easily mount up. I think you have to move past them to really let go of them and just go, yes, there are challenges. If I had gone the same way I always went, I'd have gotten into traffic. Because I went a different way, I learned a whole bunch of new stuff about this community I live in that I didn't know. And so I think the best way to overcome challenges is to say consciously, at least once or twice a day, I'm going to try something different just to see what happens. And in choosing something different, I think it also gets us closer to figuring out, if it hadn't worked out well for me when I took that different route, I would have known, hey, you know what? I was on a really good route. Next time, I'm going the tried and true. Now I have two choices, which is great, because some days I just want to go the tried and true boring way, and it's quick and easy and I don't think about it. Or sometimes I can go the more pastoral way and get a nice view of the world that I need from time to time. So now I have two choices, not one.
Yeah, now maybe it's based a little bit on other factors that you can now say, what kind of a mood am I in and which one will I choose today?
Yep.
Sounds easy. You? Why don't more people do it?
I think the fear gets in the way.
Okay.
It's one thing when my GPS tells me go this way, because it knows I'll get where I'm going, presumably. Although every now and then my GPS throws me, and I went to a lovely restaurant that was actually a trailer park. That happened one time. But that happens in real life as well, right?
Sure.
We think we're going one way and we get there and it's like, that wasn't what I was looking for. How about you? What's your one thing?
I think my one thing is, we think that we know pathways because we've been down them before. And what I would offer is, I think that creates the challenge, is that we think we're going to get where we're going to go by choosing a pathway we've chosen in the past. And what I would offer is each pathway, each time we choose it, is different and unique, because one, something may have happened to the pathway. And at the same time, too, something may have happened to us, likely will have happened to us. We will change. What's real for us each time we choose a pathway is different. And so I think that if you can, that one of the challenges, we think that we know what some of the results are going to be, and that sort of forces our hand sometimes. So I would just offer that if you can consider that every time you choose a pathway, it is a new journey, that there's more opportunity, and maybe it's easier to take a new one and say, well, hey, you know what? I could go down the old route. I'm different. The pathway might be different. So it might not be exactly the way I'm expecting. So why don't I try something different and see what that looks like? So now that I have multiple options to consider, as you discussed, and move it forward. And I think that if we can always consider that every time we do something, we're coming at it with a new perspective, knowledge, and experience, maybe it makes it easier. And I would also offer that if we come at it it's not necessarily about how challenging or less challenging the pathway is, but what do we learn as we travel it that will make it easier for us to take those pathways.
I like it. And folks, if you're struggling with figuring out your pathway, choosing a pathway, exploring a pathway, Tom and I would love to talk to you. You can private message us. You can track us down at the renegadesuccessnetwork.com. However you want to reach out to us, we'd love to talk to you, one or the other of us, about how you're trying to figure it out, because that's one of the things that really inspires and excites us. So if that's something you're trying to figure out, we are there for you.
Yes. And you know what? There might be others trying to figure out a pathway. Today is a great day for you to share your value that might be able to help them, because inside of our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where, just as a side note, if you happen to be listening to the podcast, we know you can't offer thoughts and ideas. So you can always go to our Ring of Renegades Facebook group or our Renegade Success Network for Leaders LinkedIn group and share your thoughts there. Additionally, today is Marketing Monday. So it's an opportunity for you to share some of your value that might help someone else not only choose a pathway, but travel down it a little easier. So please feel free to go to that group and share your thoughts and ideas, either one of them, whether you're a LinkedIn person or a Facebook person. And we look forward to seeing you inside those groups, or we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time.
7 a.m. Eastern time.
7 a.m. Eastern time for our next episode of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you and explore the options and choose a different option. Take a different route somewhere today and see what happens. You might see a story you never thought you knew existed.
Or you might find something else that might be just what you weren't looking for, but something that you truly need. All right, everyone, go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to Today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.